Good to be going back down the road with you. I'm Joel Heitkamp. I'm glad you joined us. We got a lot of people lined up for you today. Senator Erin Oban is going to join us in a little bit. She pushed a bill and turned into a study, yes, a study, that was going to take a look at family leave, which was voluntary by the employee. Got killed. It died in the Senate after making it through the House. I want to know why. And we're going to visit with Erin Oban about that. Also, we're going to get a chance to talk about the old railroad bridge between Bismarck and Mandan. It is, in my opinion, it's one of the things that defines North Dakota. I just love it. Gone across it a lot of times and just absolutely love looking at it each and every time. We're going to talk about women in the military as well today. But first, I'm joined now by a person that I get the privilege of working with on a daily basis. That's the Farm and Ranch Director, Sarah Heinrich, on the Mighty 790 KFGO. Sarah, good to have you coming down the road with us.
Good to be here. Happy to be here and talk a little bit about farming.
Yeah, we were talking about it yesterday at the Winter Show. Whenever you go to the Winter Show, isn't it fun? I mean, isn't it? You were talking about showing cattle there. I mean, it's like a little bit of a flashback to the past, but yet also new when you look at the equipment into the future.
I could not agree more. It is fun. The Winter Show is such a tradition in North Dakota, and it's fun to go there. It's fun to be there. And really kudos and hats off to the people who put that show together, because I really felt like yesterday's attendance, and they were saying Wednesday's attendance as well. I know attendance was also supposed to be large today. I thought attendance was up, and I definitely think that they have brought in some really new and interesting components. And so hats off to that board who has put that show together.
There's going to be some quality rodeo. I mean, some big time rodeo there, and I think people are going to have a real blast with that. It's clear there's a lot of cowboys going to the Winter Show. Fair?
Yeah, fair to say. Absolutely.
Yeah. I want to get a chance to talk to you about ag and what's going on in North Dakota right now. Early spring. Have you seen anybody scratching around yet?
You know, it's funny that you say that, because I actually did a story this week with an outfit in McLaughlin. So it would have been Agtegra out of McLaughlin, and they are busy spreading fertilizer right now. And so they are busy putting fertilizer down. Most producers, he said, will wait for that fertilizer to sit for a little bit. And then once they start field work, they'll go out there, because they are strictly mostly no-till down there. But there's fertilizer being spread, which is kind of hard to believe. In my 15 years-ish of reporting, the earliest that I can remember doing a story with spring planting was about March 27th. And
Okay.
so, and I don't think we're far off, because we are drier than that year was. I want to say that's back in 2010.
Okay.
That was that really dry year that we had as well.
I want to make sure I know the number you said of years of broadcasting.
15.
Okay. I just did that on purpose. See if I can get you mad at me. As you can tell, Sarah and I work together a lot. Sarah, good year for calving, though. I mean, we're going to get to the fact that we're, in a drought right now. But in terms of calving, you raise a lot of cattle.
You can't. Go ahead.
I mean, it must have been one of those years where you weren't losing a lot of calves.
I was just going to say, you can't ask for a much nicer year than what we've had. And when you talk about feed savings that we've had, we've gone through so much less feed, less straw. We've been pushing less manure. I mean, all that stuff adds up. And when you talk about moving snow, all that adds up. The more that the tractors run, the more that the payloader runs, all of those costs add up. And so we've been able to save a lot of feed. We've been able to save a lot of money this year with the nice weather. I think everyone's maybe getting a little bit concerned as far as the lack of moisture that we've had. We aren't real concerned yet. We're just kind of enjoying it and enjoying being able to see these calves being born outside versus running them through a barn. And so I think everyone's just hoping for some timely rain. But right now, it's really hard to complain when you're calving and it's 40 and 50 degrees outside.
Where are cattle prices right now for the ranchers out there that are watching us? I don't want to have them get mad at me by not letting the public know where some of these cattle prices are.
For a lack of better understanding, or maybe for the general consumer, I would say we're making money, but we aren't getting rich. And so, I mean, it's $1,000 a calf maybe is a good catch-all type of a thing. And so right now, cattle prices are just not super great. I mean, we're not losing money, and we aren't going backwards yet, but we're not making a lot.
Yeah. In North Dakota, we're still having that conversation all the time about, how the Packers control our lives and whether or not we could do more in our own state to do those type of things. And that's a whole subject for another day. But you mentioned how dry we are. Driving through and getting back out on the road, it sure looks to me like you shouldn't be throwing a cigarette out the window right now.
And there's a little bit of snow cover, that's just real recent. But for the most part, if you think about it, we've all been really, really brown leading up to this. So there's basically a line that you can draw from kind of that Grand Forks down into Barnes County. And so there's a moderate drought taking place in the eastern part of the state, in that far eastern edge. And then there is a severe drought that's happening throughout the rest of the state. And so we went into the year moderately wet, I guess I would say. We had timely moisture, but a lot of the state didn't. You get into that western area of the state, and they were pretty much dry throughout the summer as well. And so it's going to be really interesting to see if we're going to have any of this timely moisture that's going to take place, because I think a lot of areas are going to go into a really dry soil bed. And there isn't a lot of frost left in the ground, and so I don't think that spring planting is really too far away from many areas.
You and your family are out there trying to make a living off that land, whether it's feeding cattle, whether it's putting your crop in. So you're the best example I can use. I get that. But two others. And this was going back to the fall even. I got some friends that come around duck hunting a lot. And some of those potholes from your area south at Medina South are some of the hottest areas for duck and goose hunting. And they didn't have a good fall at all. In fact, some of those guys just didn't get out anymore after they were out the first time. The other example I would give is I have a friend that cleans rivers. He goes in and usually contracted through the county. Maybe there's some aid from the state, but goes in and gets all that tree out of the river that's dead, falling in, so that we're not sitting there looking at backup and some flooded lands, that type of thing. When he was on our river in my area, the Wild Rice, he said there's no water in it. There's no water at all in it. That wasn't a problem at all in terms of ice or depth or anything like that. And I'm wondering if you're seeing that all over the state.
Absolutely. And those prairie potholes, a lot of them are drying up. They got really, really big in 2019 when things were so incredibly wet, but a lot of that has downsized. We've been able to reclaim some of that land that we've lost with the really wet falls, but those potholes have gone down a lot, and fences that have been underwater, we're seeing a lot of that get exposed. And so it's certainly not just in that area with the wild rice, it's widespread, to say the least. I mean, there's getting to be a lot of ground reclaimed in our area, but it's probably getting a little bit concerning in regards to just the lack of moisture that we've had, because it's dry. There's no way about it. I mean, usually we're dealing with sloppy corrals right now, and there isn't a lot of slop to be found.
And we were talking about, how good it was to calve this year because it was dry, but this all started last year, way before the fall. I mean, I remember you talking to me on the radio about, hey, Joel, you guys in the Red River Valley right now are pretty lucky in some of those areas, because we here in the central part of this state, it's not good. And so that drought, I would guess, affected last year's crop somewhat.
Absolutely. We had average yields. And, I was visiting with a producer yesterday, and he's from kind of that Valley City area, just a little bit west, in between there and Spiritwood. And he said the same thing. He said yields were average, and that would catch pretty much everything. Our yields were average. They weren't great. We did have a good calving season last year. I mean, things warmed up in February and it melted, and we were able to have a nice warm spring. And so all of that, the nice calving seasons kind of lead to the dry years. That's pretty much what it boils down to. When you're grading calves through snow, you have slop, and slop makes a crop. Yeah. And this year we have slop.
That's a good point. I'm going to use that line, slop makes crop. That's a great line to have. So this year, commodity prices, good. I mean, we'll acknowledge that, both you and I, that, a lot of the problem is that when the commodity prices went up, it appeared very few people had anything to sell. Am I right on that? Or
right.
What did you find out?
Absolutely. Most of the crop was gone. And so I think as soon as beans went above $10, everybody said, let's get out. If you had any crop that was left, because $10 was a really good price at that point in time. And so there wasn't a lot of crop to be sold in that upward swing and that upward trend. And so I think a lot of producers lost a lot of upside potential, and that was just the name of the game. But now we are able to get some of that crop contracted at a better price. And so we are seeing better prices than what we saw going into last year's growing season. So at least you can maybe contract and get some of that upside potential going into the 2021 season.
So one of my farmer buddies told me that on average, he sells at least 30% of the future crop into the market ahead of time, hedge betting, whatever you want to put it at. Are they doing that this year, or are they putting in more based on the price?
I think that some people are getting pretty aggressive when it comes to their marketing because we have seen so much upward potential, and we saw, beans going up in that $14 range for a lot of that old crop. I think that got a lot of people excited for the new crop prices. And so I would say that many producers are probably doing at least 30%. You always want to hold out just in case that price would go a little bit higher. And it's going to be, the interesting part is going to be see what prices actually go, because we aren't the only ones experiencing a drought. As of this week, much of the Midwest was in a drought. And so in that cases, we might see reduced soybean yields. And so then maybe would that drive the price higher? That's anybody's guess. The snow in the forecast right now and the rain in the forecast might be able to take some of those areas out of that drought category. So it's anybody's guess, I think, at this point, as far as what prices are going to do.
So in the minute that I have left, Sarah, are you going to see any different crop out there? For me, when I hop on my Harley and I drive all over the state, which I love to do, is there going to be more soybeans? Is there going to be more corn? I mean, what do you see getting planted?
I would not be surprised if we saw more sunflower acres. That is one crop that I would not be surprised if we saw an acre increase in, just because they are so drought tolerant, which is so important right now because we are going into a dry growing season. We haven't been able to spur a lot of moisture, and so if we can't spur any moisture, if we start dry, we might end dry.
I don't know anybody that knows farm and ranch better, and as she pointed out, has been broadcasting in the industry for a long time, not the least of which raising a family on what you produce off the land as well. Sarah, good to have you on. Thanks for coming down the road with us.
Great joining you.
Sarah Heinrich, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back, Erin Oban joins us. We're going to talk about family leave, voluntary family leave. So stick around. More coming your way right here as we head down the road.
Respect, innovation, trust, and excellence. These core values can be seen in every building built by Straightway Construction. In the community for over 15 years, Straightway Construction has become the premier construction company for commercial projects. From dirt to design and framing to finish, Straightway Construction is your number one choice. You won't have to look far to find a project that has that Straightway touch. Call them today or go online to straightwayconstruction.com and let them make your vision a reality.
Hi, I'm Dennis Haugen, along with my sons Andy and Mike, and we're showing our support for wind energy in North Dakota.
Wind energy has provided farmers like us with a steady stream of income that's not tied to the weather like crops and cattle are.
Another bonus is that wind farm owners are required to maintain the roads leading up to the turbines. Because of that, oftentimes these roads are the best in the county. Wind energy is good for landowners, it's good for the land, it's good for our economy, and it's good for North Dakota.
There's nothing more important than family. And at Prairie Rose Family Dentists, we get it. That's why we have more locations, more dentists, specialists, extended hours, pediatric clinics, and even emergency appointments, so you can always be seen. Book your appointment today at prairierosedentist.com. Prairie Rose Family Dentists. We are family.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
Pub 21, your one stop for fun, drinks, and food. Our spacious facility provides COVID-safe fun for you and all your friends. With nightly bingo and specials, you can be sure there's something to do for everyone. If you're staying in for the night, we've got you covered just across the way with Pub 21 Liquor. We have a wide variety of options, from wine to whiskey and everything in between. Stop in today at 1014 South 12th Street in Bismarck to see what all the buzz is about. You won't be disappointed.
Welcome back to Down the Road. There's the word's voluntary. You're also going to hear the word, it's not required, for example. So let's get to her, because we're talking about family leave, and I want to visit with North Dakota State Senator Erin Oban. Erin, good to have you coming down the road with us.
Hey, Joel. How you doing?
Okay, describe to people what happened to the family leave issue that you were a sponsor of that originally was a House bill. Walk people through the steps of what happened to that legislation.
Sure. So it was a House Bill 1441, which started as an optional paid family leave program. For those of you who aren't familiar with paid family leave, it builds on the federal requirement, the Family and Medical Leave Act, which requires employers of a certain size to provide up to 12 weeks job-protected leave to working people in situations like the birth of a child, to care for themselves in a long illness or injury, to care for a loved one at the end of their life, or if they are seriously sick or injured. So it builds on that. But FMLA is unpaid time off. Okay, so these are limited situations in life: birth, death, serious sickness, or injury. And so what paid leave programs do is create a fund where people pay into, and just in those events, they can draw their income from, usually a portion of their income, not their full income. So we have heard loud and clear in this state, Joel, that we don't like mandates, that we don't want to require anything of businesses. So the way the House bill was introduced, it would be a voluntary and opt-in program for employees, for small businesses, for gig workers, for independent contractors to pay into if they so chose, and to be able to draw from in those very specific, really stressful, kind of a little bit longer term life situations.
If they so chose, right?
If they so chose.
That's the key words there, right? And so this started as a bill that would put this type of thing in place in the House. And what happened to it in the House?
So, understandably, some of the House members had some questions on, is it financially feasible? Do you know how many people would participate? And that's hard to say when we've never had this option available to anybody. Anecdotally, I can tell you, people that I've visited with, small business owners, working people like myself, even if you are past the age where you're having children, Joel, we're starting to be at the age where we're losing our parents. As you know, my father's already passed away. The idea of being with your parents or your spouse to take care of them in times of need is not unusual for people to think about. Anyway, the House amended it to just study the financial feasibility of people opting into a program like this, if it would be financially possible, to sustain itself. I think it's a fair question. And so they amended the bill, wrote very specific language on what this study would look like so we could get some actuarial numbers attached, and passed the House with 75 votes. Unusual in this environment, especially in the House.
75, as conservative as that chamber is. You passed it, you got it over to the Senate, which I would argue, maybe it's because I'm a senator, but no. I will say this because it's true, is the most reasonable body, but obviously it switched. Erin, what happened?
Well, so we had the hearing in the Senate Industry, Business, and Labor Committee, and it fell on deaf ears almost immediately, with the exception for sure of one committee member who supported it from beginning to end. Senator Richard Marcellet from the Belcourt, Turtle Mountain area. But otherwise, it was just, it's like there's a boogeyman around every corner, Joel. Whenever I would ask, okay, so what can I do to convince you just to collect information so that we can answer our own questions? and I heard, oh, the government shouldn't do this. Oh, this is a slippery slope. Oh, all you're trying to do is mandate it. I'm like, the study doesn't hold you to anything, though. It literally is just allowing us to collect information. That's it.
Well, and I would add this, the original bill didn't mandate anything. It didn't force anybody to do anything. And so, there's some names on the negative voting side, that people that killed this bill, that if they would have voted, in my opinion, the right way, this would have passed. And these are progressive names in terms of Republicans. Ray Holmberg, who's always looking for money for higher education, who always crosses over that aisle and says, all right, I need your help. Don't you believe in kids? And you got Karen Kresbaugh, who's always stood up for women's rights. And of course, this bill would help women the most. And then you got Rich Wardner. And Rich has always had a very compassionate approach to legislation. Why? Why in the world? What started this to where this didn't even get a chance to be looked at as a study? We're not talking about something going into the code, just not even be looked at as a study. How do you lose 3 votes like that?
I don't know. There are some of the, the folks you just named who I am disappointed. I had a lot of conversations, Joel. I worked the floor super hard trying to overturn a committee recommendation of a chairman who holds a lot of sway over the chamber. And I just knew I had to go into that being a complete underdog, which I typically am, but that's fine. So I worked the floor really hard. I had lots of conversations to make sure folks understood what it was doing, that they were comfortable with, again, the language on the paper. What we were actually passing was just an optional study for an optional paid family leave program. And I didn't have a chance to have conversations with everybody. And we know we should never take for granted any vote, but I was surprised by a few of those.
So what do you think this does? What signal does it send to those young families in comparison to other states? Because the one thing I consistently hear from employers, from the chamber that set out to kill your bill, the very North Dakota chamber that set out to kill this bill, is we need workers. We need workers in North Dakota. How do you think this would have affected that?
Well, first of all, paid family leave programs have data that proves that they help to recruit and retain workers. And when I hear that over and over again for years and years and years from groups like the chamber, that their number one issue is recruiting and retaining their workforce, I don't know if I take you seriously when you're completely unwilling to even study an optional program that we specifically removed the mandate from because you said you don't like a mandate. So not only does it send that message that I don't know if they're serious about this, or if they just don't want working people to be able to get a portion of their pay during really stressful times in their life. Yeah. They also passed a bill that prohibits local governments from doing this. So you don't want to do it at the local level. You sure as hell don't want the feds telling us what to do. And you won't even allow the state to study it. I don't know how else to take that message, Joel.
Well, I know how to take it. I know how to take it. If I'm a young family that's looking after my mother or my father or my grandparents, I know how to exactly take it. You don't get a chance to leave the workplace even though you're needed somewhere else for a short period of time, and you're the one that covers the bill. I don't get it. I don't get it. Erin, thanks.
Joel, if I could just mention quickly, the local Williston Chamber stepped up and supported it from the very beginning. I mean, they talked to their members. They recognized the need to get younger working people out in Western North Dakota. They supported it. Yeah. So,
Erin, thank you. Thanks for fighting the good fight. We need to use names. And the Kresbaugh name, the Holmberg name, the Wardner name. Some of these other guys are knuckle draggers. I get that. Jim Roars, always talking about how he needs workers for Roars Construction, South Fargo. I mean, this was a chance for him to prove it. And you know what? He voted no. So I will tell you
really
this.
It wasn't even a risky chance, Joel. Yeah. It wasn't even risky.
And I'm just going to say this. If they ever come up to you and say one of the problems in North Dakota that we have is lack of workers, you remind them of this bill for me. Promise me, because I'll guarantee you I will.
Will do.
All right. Thank you, Erin. When we come back, we're going to get a chance to talk about, we're going to talk about women in the military. We're going to talk about Tucker Carlson. We're going to talk about the tone that is set by the far right in this country, as though you didn't learn just enough about it right there. Stick around. More coming your way as we head down the road.
Jeez, what a mess. Look at that. There's roof stuff everywhere. It's so embarrassing. Ruins the neighborhood. Come on, humans. Let's get this fixed.
Don't let your roof go to the dogs. Call America's Best Contractors for your free estimate.
Need a new woof?
After checking with the rest, go with the best. America's Best Contractors. 258-2412. Online at americasbestcontractorsincorporated.com.
Beck Communications is now hiring independent sales agents around the state. We're looking for highly motivated individuals to take advantage of this opportunity, selling advertising for our news and sports programming on Beck TV and sponsorships for the Bismarck Bucks indoor football team. Independent sales agents will make 50% commission on their completed sales for all products. Beck TV is the leader in broadcasting local sports, owner of the Bismarck Bucks indoor football team, and originator of newly launched news opinion programming. Submit your application now at careers@bechtel.coop. This is an exciting opportunity you can't pass up. 50% commission for independent sales agents now hiring at Beck Communications.
It's every American's right to bear arms. At Mandan Sporting Goods, we're here to help you support your Second Amendment rights, which reads, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Whether you're looking for a pistol for personal defense or collector gun, we have the staff to help you. We also have the area's largest inventory of ammo and reloading supplies.
Mandan Sporting Goods, the area's local gun and ammo specialists.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and as you know, my passion is to help each and every one of you get the best sleep of your life. That's why I created my new Giza Dreams bed sheets. The first night you sleep on my sheets, you'll never want to sleep on anything else.
Go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen right now to get your very own MyPillow Giza Dream sheets. When you buy one set of sheets, you'll get another set absolutely free.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
Ever been in a cave before?
It's our first time.
All right.
Where are you going?
I'll see you at the car! How will we? The car! Your offer has been accepted. Ever bought a house before?
It's our first time.
All right.
Where are you going?
I'll see you at the closing. But how will we? The closing!
The experienced professionals at Superior Glass provide residential and commercial glass installation and repair services in central and western North Dakota. Superior Glass is your source for stained glass projects, mirrors, windows, touchless, and automated entry solutions. Stop by and see us at 3323 East Broadway in Bismarck or call us at 701-258-5600. Superior Glass, where you get superior service for less. Bye for now.
Okay, while the rest of the nation is celebrating the efforts of women, women in history, women currently today, women that have been out there making a difference in people's lives, both in the workplace and at home, which, by the way, is a workplace, women that have been doing that for years. The rest of the world is celebrating that right now. The rest of the United States is celebrating that right now. We just heard an example of why in North Dakota you can sit, you can chuckle, you can do anything you want. And you can run over women when it comes to family leave. Even a study of whether or not voluntary family leave can pass. I mean, shame on those senators who voted against it. And none of them better ever complain about lack of workers in the workplace. And the North Dakota Chamber, the same goes for you. They're out there constantly. They're fighting a bill like this. It's not mandated. It's not mandated. And so what does the North Dakota Chamber do? They go out there and fight it because, someday, somewhere, somehow, there might be a cost. Well, here's the thing. You want young people to stay in this state. You need workers. Are you that short-sighted? Way to go, Williston. At least you got it. A spot quiz for you. You ready? Since we're talking about women, who's Harriet Tubman? Most of you know who Harriet Tubman is, right? She's a black woman, a runaway slave. This is a woman that helped and ran a portion of the Underground Railroad. She snuck slaves out of the South. That's what she did. She risked her own life to help other lives reach freedom. And let me tell you what else she did. Harriet Tubman aided the Union Army and fought with the Union Army to try to defeat the Confederacy. In fact, when everything was all over, Harriet Tubman received a military pension. A woman received a military pension. Not to mention the fact that at that time, think of where we were in that time in history, a black woman received a military pension. Is she a hero to you? Because she is to me. This same woman who fought in our military, that's right, our military, this same woman is a hero to me. Now, I want you to listen to Fox News. I want you to listen to a clip of what the right, and believe me, Tucker Carlson is a voice of the right in this country and a voice of the audience of the right in this country. You know, I'm pretty proud of the fact my Democrats stood up to look at paid family leave and look at voluntarily putting money away so that you can be there for your family when you need to. I'm pretty proud of that. That's Democrats, ladies and gentlemen. That's what Democrats do. But Tucker Carlson isn't a Democrat. In fact, he's the voice of Republicans. And I want you to take a listen to this. Take a listen to what he said.
So we've got new hairstyles and maternity flight suits. Pregnant women are going to fight our wars. It's a mockery of the U.S. military. While China's military becomes more masculine as it's assembled the world's largest navy, our military needs to become, as Joe Biden says, more feminine, whatever feminine means anymore, since men and women no longer exist. The bottom line is it's out of control, and the Pentagon's going along with this. Again, this is a mockery of the U.S. military and its core mission, which is winning wars.
Women no longer exist. What does that mean? What does that mean? Women no longer exist. This is a man who never wore the uniform of this country. I never wore the uniform of this country. But Tucker Carlson is out there saying that the military today is a mockery, that China is better. I mean, that's what he said. That's exactly what he said. Now, he said it for this reason, right? No, he said it because he believed it, first off, but he said it for this reason. So hosts like me would be out there talking about what an idiot he is. Just be happy on Beck News here they trained me in to not cuss, because I would use other words to describe Tucker Carlson. But, you know, here's the thing. The woman that he showed in the flight suit, the woman that he showed that was pregnant in the flight suit was wearing that flight suit because she needed it to go to work. She wasn't flying. She wasn't flying. It's no different than wearing a uniform to get into the Pentagon. It's no different than wearing a uniform to get into certain aspects of where you need to go work. This is a woman from the Air Force who, because of her pregnancy, wasn't flying. But you know what? She's pregnant because the same Tucker Carlson wants to make sure she has a baby, right? That's right. Barefoot and pregnant is the thinking of some of the right in this country. That's the truth. That's the absolute truth. So let's talk about Tammy Duckworth a little bit. Do you know who she is? Well, Tammy Duckworth is a United States Senator from the great state of Illinois. That's right. She serves. Now, when she goes into the chamber, you know what she's doing? She's wheeling in a wheelchair most times. She has no legs. She has no legs. You know why? That's right. You're already there, aren't you? They were blown off in war. She was wearing the uniform of this country. This is a United States senator that has no more legs. When Tucker Carlson went onto that TV set, I guarantee he walked there. Because he could. Because he could. Tammy Duckworth came out and she made sure she responded to what Tucker Carlson said. Now, there's asterisks there. So, you know, you're going to have to filter it, those of you who don't like words like that. In fact, she didn't write it, but she knows that you understand what she wrote. She points out what type of person Tucker Carlson is. And you know what? Thank you to her for her service to this country. I want to talk about the Minnesota Twins a little bit. I want to make sure that we talk about the fact that Tim Walz is opening up Minnesota to the point where 10,000, if I saw the news brief right, 10,000 fans can be at Target Field, and they can be going to a Minnesota Twins game. Good. Good, good. He should have. I think he could have earlier. I think that's the place where we're at right now. The Minnesota Twins, for many of you, are ours. Now, I realize there's some Rocky fans out there. The Rockies are closer in proximity to you. And I also realize there's the old standards, right? There's the Yankees and the Red Sox and, you know, the teams that you were raised on. But the Minnesota Twins is really a big part of who we are in North Dakota. I live 3 hours from downtown Minneapolis. I'm a Viking season ticket holder. And you're going to say, whoa, you know what? I don't care. I work my butt off to be able to afford them. I've been to a lot of Twins games. I've been to a lot of Twins openers. I've thrown the first pitch out at a Twins game. And I can tell you this, it is everything that's good about being able to take your family to the ballpark. That's what Target Field is. I hope you get there someday. I really do. But the Minnesota Twins not playing in front of fans is just, it's hard to believe. I realize COVID made for a different year. 2020 is a year we all hope to forget. 2020 has been just exactly that, something I hope we do forget. But it's changing. It's turning. I think Joe Biden has done an absolutely great job of getting vaccine out to the people that need it. I think that the people that are administering that vaccine from their state are doing a great job. I think that Doug Burgum has been incredibly aggressive at making sure not only that shots got to where they were needed, but making sure that shots weren't wasted. I think the North Dakota Health Department has played a major role in that. And so it's closing in terms of this gap between opening up and where we are today. In fact, I would argue that North Dakota, with the high rate that we have that have already had it, and with the high rate we have of people that have received that vaccine, I think I could make an argument that North Dakota is way ahead of Minnesota. In fact, I know we are. So the world is opening up. President Biden promising 2 million shots a day now. President Biden promising and looking at a goal of July 4th of this country being wide open. I would argue this. I think it's going to be before that. And so hats off to him, because he made some great statements last night, and statements that families are going to appreciate when they go to a Twins game. When we come back, we're going to talk about a railroad bridge in Bismarck-Mandan right after this.
Howdy folks, it's a Caroline Cafe. I reckon it's time you're due for a hearty meal. So saddle up for the day with one of our Hey Bossin' breakfast homemade soups. Fill your grill at our salad bar, sink your teeth into our famous Caroline burger and barbecue ribs. Top it off with spoon rattling pie with a cum roll that's sure to put a smile on even the toughest outlaws. Shake the dirt off the boots each night and warm up with the gang. Tell them about it, Stacy.
I can't wait to see you at the county line.
Since opening in Hebron in 1940, Dakota Community Bank and Trust has been your hometown bank. Our mission has been to provide modern banking convenience with old-fashioned hometown service. We've grown with the communities we serve through year-round events, countless sponsorships, and nearly 7,000 hours of volunteering each year. Learn more about our 80-year history at dakotacommunitybank.com.
Respect, innovation, trust, and excellence. These core values can be seen in every building built by Straightway Construction. In the community for over 15 years, Straightway Construction has become the premier construction company for commercial projects. From dirt to design and framing to finish, Straightway Construction is your #1 choice. You won't have to look far to find a project that has that Straightway touch. Call them today or go online to straightwayconstruction.com and let them make your vision a reality.
Jeez, what a mess. Look at that. There's roof stuff everywhere. It's so embarrassing. Ruins the neighborhood. Come on, humans. Let's get this fixed.
Don't let your roof go to the dogs. Call America's Best Contractors for your free estimate.
Need a new woof?
After checking with the rest, go with the best. America's Best Contractors. 258-2412. Online at americasbestcontractorsincorporated.com.
When you can't find answers to your recurring health challenges, it can feel like your health and your future are being held hostage. The Wellness Way is a network of health restoration clinics that think and act differently to solve the health challenges others can't. Here, we disrupt the standard approach to care through a combination of testing, individual plans, and one-on-one guidance, putting your health and your future where they belong, in your own hands.
Welcome back to Down the Road. I would guess many of you well, you're going to know the bridge I'm talking about, the railroad bridge between Bismarck and Mandan. If you haven't crossed there, well, let's just say this. Most of you have crossed there. You've seen it. It's a big part of North Dakota's history dating back into the 1800s. And for me personally, I think it's gorgeous. I do. I think it's gorgeous, and I like having it here in the state where I live. They're talking about taking it down. The railroad, well, you know, they're going to go, and we're going to talk about the permit process in just a little bit. But the railroad, they want bigger, wider, and in their, you know, better in their eyes. And of course, they've got permits that they had to get, and you know, it's gonna change, and it's going to change in some way, one way or another. Now, there's a group of people out there that want that railroad bridge to stay. Signe Snortland works with them. I'm going to bring her in. Signe, good to have you coming down the road with us.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Tell me about your group. Tell me about how this all got started.
Well, our group is called Friends of the Rail Bridge, and we support BNSF putting in a new bridge across the Missouri River because we support rail traffic, but we really want to keep the historic bridge. In 2019, it was listed by the National Trust for Historic Preservation as one of America's 11 most endangered historic places. So we've been negotiating with BNSF and the U.S. Coast Guard, who will be issuing a permit for the new bridge, to try and save the bridge while after the new bridge is built.
Now, you know, in terms of, and I realize you've got expertise in the area of federal regulations, permitting, all of that, preservation, but where are we at with the new bridge that the railroad wants now? This is a Coast Guard issue, I realize. So where are we at with the permitting, with the construction? Where are we at with the new bridge?
So the BNSF is in negotiations. They've submitted a permit application to the U.S. Coast Guard, and they're about to release a draft environmental impact statement in June that will describe their preferred alternative, which is to build the new bridge. So the public will be able to see what they're actually proposing to do. And we want them to also have an alternative in that draft environmental impact statement that saves the bridge while building a new bridge.
So you're not talking about fighting the permit that BNSF has, if I'm taking this right. What you're really saying is they're going to build a new bridge, but we want to keep the old bridge for different purposes. Am I right on that, or go ahead and correct me if I'm wrong?
You're spot on, and they don't have a permit yet. The U.S. Coast Guard has to go through the environmental impact statement process before they can issue a permit. So they have to get to a record of decision. So BNSF has applied for this permit. They haven't gotten it yet. And part of the Section 106 National Historic Preservation Act process, we and other consulting parties are working with the Coast Guard and BNSF to find a solution to save this historic bridge.
Guys, pull the bridge up one more time if you could. I want people to see something on it that matters a lot. Look at how it's built. Think about the technology that went into this and the engineering that went into this back in the 1800s. And look at how it stood up to the test of time. Signe, is there structural damage to it now? Is this something where those of us who might say, come on, let's get behind this project, is there the type of damage where there's going to be high maintenance on it?
BNSF has given us a safety engineering report, a review of the safety of the bridge, and the bridge is adequate for rail traffic right now. So that report did not identify any concerns. But BNSF feels like they need to run more trains and heavier trains and faster trains. That's why they want a new bridge.
That's the point. It's about the industry needing to do what the industry needs to do to keep up. I get it. I understand it. To lose this historic bridge, we're not going to be able to force the railroad to not get their project if they can build a sound project across the river. Get it, understand it, but what are you going to do with the bridge? What are the plans to use the bridge for if somebody else takes over ownership of it?
Thank you for that question. A North Dakota State University Architecture Department prepared a feasibility report for us and was funded by Friends of the Rail Bridge, looking at developing a pedestrian trail across the bridge. So like rails to trails. After BNSF abandons this bridge, we want to raise money to convert it into a trail to tie into the trail system on the Bismarck and the Mandan side of the river.
So did NDSU then, did they give you an estimate of what that would take?
Yes, they did. I'm sorry, I don't have the number right at my top my head, but it's in the millions. It is not an inexpensive process, but what we would do would phase it one step at a time to work our way up to a finished product.
So is the state of North Dakota helping? Are you looking for state funds? Have you determined where the funds are going to come from yet?
We are not at this point looking for state funds. We are looking for a partner. The programmatic agreement that we signed with BNSF and the U.S. Coast Guard, which is under the National Historic Preservation Act, requires Friends of the Rail Bridge to find a public partner by this Monday. So we have to line up a state agency or a county agency or something that would meet the terms of public to work with us. And the deadline is this Monday. So we've been talking to the governor's office, to the cabinet, and they are taking a hard look at this, and we hope to hear a positive answer very soon.
So, Signe, is this something that the governor can decide on his own, or does he need the authority to come through the legislative process?
You're asking me a question I probably can't answer, but we're not looking for a financial commitment. We're just looking for someone to say, yes, we're interested in partnering with you. And we would do the fundraising. We would look at, there is money available for recreation trails. So we're not asking for the state of North Dakota to commit money to this at this point. We're just asking for a partner like North Dakota Parks and Recreation to say, yeah, this is a great idea.
So really, what you're looking, I'm thinking as somebody who's worked in government, what you're looking for is somebody who qualifies even to ask for the permits along a navigable piece of water. Am I getting that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
In terms of the bridge itself, in terms of the use of the bridge, what does this do? And are people making an argument about ice jams? Because I know this bridge has been built to really take on what North Dakota winters can do. What's the discussion about that?
That will be addressed in the environmental impact statement, I believe. The state of North Dakota, the State Water Commission has raised that question and wants to know what the impact would be if you have two bridges side by side for scour and ice jams and that sort of thing. So that's another thing that needs to be studied in that environmental impact statement.
How long is the turnaround in terms of a permit? I mean, the railroad has been pushing for this new bridge for quite some time. If a permit is applied for, how long before we're going to know?
They're hoping that this will be all wrapped up in, I think it's 2022. That first there has to be the draft environmental impact statement that goes out for public comment. Then it goes to a final environmental impact statement, and then the Coast Guard makes a decision. And because of this controversy of the historic bridge, it's taking them longer than they had hoped.
So, you know, your group that you organized and others, Friends of the Rail Bridge, how much play are you getting? Because, you know, I've had you on my radio show. I've had you now on my TV show. I mean, I know you guys are out there doing media. Are you getting some response back?
Oh, yes. The media has been very supportive. The Bismarck Tribune this morning published an editorial supporting preservation of the bridge, and we really greatly appreciate that. We met with the editorial board last week. They don't want any taxpayer money going into it, but they see it as a good tourism draw to Bismarck and a good recreation facility.
Does the railroad care?
BNSF is opposed.
Really? I wonder why. I mean, the ownership is not going to lie with them, would be my guess, right?
I think they have expressed concerns about the historic bridge causing safety concerns to the new bridge. So we're working through that through a negotiation process, and we hope that we can alleviate all of their concerns.
But the new bridge goes to the north of the old bridge, right?
Yes, it would be beside it.
So the ice would hit. Okay, that's a whole topic for another day.
We'd love to come back and talk about the details if you want.
Oh, you can. We're gonna. Okay, we're gonna see what Monday brings too. Signe, thank you. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you so very much.
As you can tell, ladies and gentlemen, I love the bridge. I really do. When we come back, well, we got a lot of things we got to go over yet today. Not the least of which is what President Biden talked about last night. So let's go over all that and more as we close out this edition of Down the Road.
There's nothing more important than family. And at Prairie Rose Family Dentists, we get it. That's why we have more locations, more dentists, specialists, extended hours, pediatric clinics, and even emergency appointments, so you can always be seen. Book your appointment today at prairierosedentist.com. Prairie Rose Family Dentists. We are family.
Deciding how to promote your business can be hard. Visit the professionals at Dakota Promotions and Printing and let them help you through your struggle. Dakota Promotions provides promotional items and apparel, from corporate gifts to team shirts and everything in between. With quick turnaround times and friendly service, they are your best choice. And best yet, you're shopping local. Visit them online at dakotapromo.com or stop in their showroom at 320 West Main in Mandan. Dakota Promotions, delivering promotions just for you.
Hi, I'm Dennis Haugen, along with my sons Andy and Mike, and we're showing our support for wind energy in North Dakota.
Wind energy has provided farmers like us with a steady stream of income that's not tied to the weather like crops and cattle are.
Another bonus is that wind farm owners are required to maintain the roads leading up to the turbines. Because of that, oftentimes these roads are the best in the county. Wind energy is good for landowners, it's good for the land, it's good for our economy, and it's good for North Dakota.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
It's every American's right to bear arms. At Mandan Sporting Goods, we're here to help you support your Second Amendment rights, which reads, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Whether you're looking for a pistol for personal defense or collector gun, we have the staff to help you. We also have the area's largest inventory of ammo and reloading supplies.
Mandan Sporting Goods, the area's local gun and ammo specialists.
Now is the best time to plan for your 2021 farm equipment needs. North Dakota-based Summers Manufacturing is currently offering early order savings. Take advantage of big savings on North America's broadest tillage line, including the Super Kohler Samurai and the innovative VRT Renegade, as well as the best built, best backed land rollers in the industry. Talk to your Summers dealer today or go to summersmfg.com to learn more about early order savings available on all Summers equipment.
Well, it's been a fast trip again. It's always good to have you, though, coming down the road with us. A couple of final thoughts here, and it goes directly to Joe Biden's speech last night. Did you watch it? Did you give it a chance? Did you hear it? Many of the people that are watching right now, you're very, very conservative. I get that. And of course, you know that I'm a progressive. That being said, the speech last night went out to all Americans. So, are you giving them a chance? Are you? Let's take a look at the two big things that Joe Biden has done in his short time as president so far. The stimulus bill that he put in place for the state of North Dakota, as well as the nation, is enormous. I get it. All of a sudden, we're talking about national debt. There wasn't one Republican during the Trump administration that even wanted to talk about national debt. But now the right is bringing it up a lot. I get that. And quite frankly, that's a good thing. It is. That has to be part of the discussion. It has to be. And if it's not, then by God, everything's going to start blowing out of proportion to the point where we can't fix it. But there's money coming out to you. You farmers, you have to admit there's money coming out to you. So for many of you that are complaining about the federal government, I'm going to call you on that. I am. I'm going to call you on that and point out that on one hand, you can't sit there and say you hate the federal government, and on the other hand, you can sit there and cash the check and not admit you got money from the federal government and the rest of America's taxpayers. The other thing he's done is ratchet up vaccinations big time. We're talking about 2 million a day now. Most of you know someone or have been vaccinated yourself. It's a good thing. That's a good thing. It opens up this country a lot quicker. And you know, the president has talked about July. It's going to be sooner than that. Good riding with you, folks. We'll see you down the trail.